I was thinking, people say this all the time, so now what? I've been doing what I've been doing for, man, decades. It's what I have to do. Now when do I get a chance to do what I want to do?
Well, and that's what we do here at Omega Wealth Private Capital. We help you get from the I have to's to, wow, I get to.
I'm Brad Johansson.
And I'm Joe Wilson, and welcome to another edition of Wise Money.
Welcome to Wise Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Joe Wilson of Omega Wealth Private Capital. And we have a very important show for you today, talking about longevity risk in this segment. Thank you for being with us. Joe, most of all,
how about
thank you for having me.
I mean, what an upgrade. We had Brad Johansson, and he's healing up from a nasty surgery on his leg. He'll be back, folks, but we got an upgrade. We have Cynthia. I call her the Queen Mother.
Oh my gosh, you
Cynthia
are so sweet. And we go way back. I've known you how many years now?
I think 5.
My gosh, has it been 5?
Now,
That's incredible.
You grew up in Ohio.
I did.
And in Indiana.
Well, I do have family in Indiana, so yes, grassroots
now,
right there.
You are famous. Tell everyone, tell the camera, you're not camera shy. Tell us about, what do I call you? Because it's true.
All right, so Joe calls me the Queen Mother. He says that with love. I am former Mrs. America in 1996, but started as Mrs. Ohio in 1996. So my roots are very deep with this show.
Yes, much better looking than Brad Johansson. Bradley, we love you, miss you, can't wait to have you back. But we're glad to have you on this show today.
Well, thank you for asking me to be your host. I'm so honored. And Brad, yes, heal up quickly. We miss you. I'm going to try to fill your shoes, but I don't know. It's going to be tough. So, Joe, I love today. We're going to talk about some very important things, and most importantly, being an advice-driven firm.
Yes.
You pride yourself on that
because
you like to guide people in the right direction when it comes to the retirement years.
When you look at what we do, and you look at day in and day out, truly, what is a financial advisor to do? Everyone says, they almost think it's like the old Wall Street movies, right? You buy here and you sell there. That's one piece of the pie. It is your investments. But really, it becomes much wider than that. And what we're seeing because of folks calling off this show and coming in, we see a lot of folks because of our radio show, our television shows, the workshops that our team does. So many folks are working on their investments, but they're missing all of the other pieces. It has to be advice because everyone's retirement is different.
That's true.
Everyone. We've seen siblings born a year apart, very, very different types of retirements. Why? Because they want different things. So if we're not giving advice and helping folks from Cincinnati and Ohio and Indianapolis and all over the tri-state region understand that you must have 5 agreements that work together. Because if you just focus on one, there's a problem. And I think that's where we have to look at today. And I preach this so heavy because it's so true, Cynthia. The number one fear of the modern retiree right now is running out of money. Wow. I find that amazing.
I do too, and that's interesting because when we started the shows together 5 years ago, we talked about that, and it's interesting to me that that hasn't changed. We actually correlated that with what are you more afraid of, dying or running out of money? People say running out of money.
Well, because it's the biggest fear. We all have those stories of folks getting to those later years of their life and just not being able to have anything because of why. And we're going to talk about that in the show, and maybe that's you as you're sitting here and you're catching this and you're going, well, I never thought of that way. If you're wondering, I wonder if I can retire, the real question you're asking yourself is, will you have enough money to last you to and through retirement? Because there's some headwinds that are facing us today, but I want to talk about longer life expectancy.
Yes.
And we've got to focus there because we are living longer.
We are. And Joe, when you think about it, it's a blessing and a curse. Everyone wants to live longer, right? We're taking better care of ourselves. Our health facilities are just getting better. Medications are getting better. Just our overall quality of life, eating better for the most part, living longer.
Let's not go too far.
Well, I can speak for myself.
Yeah, you're a health nut. Listen to this statistic. I find this amazing. 90% of everyone who has ever lived to the age of 90% is alive right now.
Wow.
We are living longer. I think of myself, type 1 juvenile diabetic, diagnosed in 1987. I was 11 years old. If I was born with this disease 50, 60 years earlier, it's probably a very different story than where I am today at almost 50 in my health. But go back through and look at what we've come up with and why we're living. Antibiotics, clean water.
Yes.
Right? Just surgeries. What can we do in the surgery room that we weren't even able to do 10 years ago? We are living longer. Well, that's a blessing.
Yes.
But the challenge is if you stop working at the age of 65, that's 30 plus years of retirement.
Absolutely,
Think of 65,
it is.
30 years ago. I told you I was almost 50.
Yeah.
My Lord, I was 20.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
And look how much has changed in those years.
Look how much more
and then
expense that's
fast
been
forward.
added. All of that. So
Yes.
it's a true fear. And I think the challenge with so many folks when it comes to us giving advice is so many folks are looking at, do I have enough? Is the number big enough? And that has nothing to do when it comes back to income. Because the way you manage money in the distribution phases are very different than the way you manage money in the accumulation phase. So if the fear is worrying about running out of money, how do we start to position assets that allow you to sustain a solid retirement? We'll start here.
Okay.
One, I think you can't manage all the money the same way.
Okay.
Had somebody recently called off the show before I came out here. We met with them. $2.8 million that she had saved. All of it getting ready to retire in the next 2 years. It's all being managed the exact same way. Her comment to me was this. My current advisor, I've talked about it, and they said, oh, you're fine. You're fine. Her worry is, that's 30 years of retirement. How do I know I'm fine?
Exactly.
Because in the beginning of this year, when we had the tariff disaster of the market, she lost over $600,000 on her statement. And the reality set into her, if I was taking money out, if I had just retired in January, where would I be getting my money through those few months before we got back to where we were? I would be selling assets at a loss.
Yes.
That robs my money for the next 25, 30 years.
100%.
Listen to me right here before we go to break. If you're managing all your money the same way, warning, you must tell every dollar and give it a job to do. There needs to be bank money where you can go and get your emergency fund. We're going to talk about that when we come back from break. But you better have money that's allocated to get income, regardless if the market is good or bad. It is a place for you to go when the storm is raging, where you can get that income, because retirement is nothing without income. You got to have it.
Joe, you most definitely have to have it. To our viewers at home, as Joe just mentioned, income is the outcome when it comes to your overall retirement success. But where are you going to pull from? Where's it coming from? Well, we have an offer for you today. Go ahead and click on the QR code that's the bottom corner of your screen right there. That'll take you right to the landing page of Omega Wealth Private Capital. You can get a copy of Joe's book, The 5 Agreements. And within this book, you're going to have a lot of things taught to you that maybe perhaps you hadn't heard of before. This is your retirement, folks. You've worked your entire life to get there. Don't you deserve to have peace of mind? We think you do. If you'd like to call in today, the number is 844-657-1072. But once again, we've made it even simpler. Just snap the QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back momentarily on Wise Money with Joe Wilson.
Just ahead, can you survive another market crash? Why current volatility makes having an advisor with perspective more important than ever. Stay tuned.
What is the number one fear around those entering retirement and just having retired? What is it?
The number one fear is that you're going to run out of money before you die.
We have a window right now where there's some amazing tools where we can disinherit the IRS from that pot of money. So many times you've been saving and doing things, and that might be the right tool for that season. So when's the best time to prepare for rain? When it's sunny out.
When it's sunny.
You don't wait till it's storming. 2001, 2002, 2020. We could go back through here the last couple of decades. There's going to be bad times in the market. Well, where do you go to get your income? Your retirement cannot sustain that. The only way those work out is if you retire and there are several good years right after you walk out of the office. You have to control what you can control, and you cannot control what happens in the markets. You get one shot at retirement, and if you're missing one of these agreements, that can crush you. You cannot go into distribution years with the same tools and hope. That's not a plan. The worst day in retirement isn't the day you run out of money. It's when you realize you're going to run out of money and there's nothing you can do about it. It's why in my new book, The 5 Agreements to Be and Stay Retirement Ready, we talk about asset and capital preservation. So many things can derail a modern retiree's retirement by surprises, a huge dip in the market. What about a healthcare concern? There are costs right now of $110,000 to $130,000 a year for long-term care. What strategies have you taken right now to hedge your retirement against that risk? There are so many ways to do it. Want to learn more? You need a copy of my brand new book, The 5 Agreements to Be and Stay Retirement Ready. Click the link below, fill out some information, and my team will send out a copy to you absolutely free. Looking forward to you reading it and maybe seeing you in the office so we can help you be and stay retirement ready.
Welcome back to Wise Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Joe Wilson of Omega Wealth Private Capital, and we're talking all about important things regarding your retirement planning. You retire once, you want to get it right. Joe, I was also noticing, this is very interesting to me, longevity risk compounds every other risk, inflation, market downturns, health expenses. Talk a little bit about that. It impacts everything.
30 years, 35 years. When you're seeing recent stat, my daughter's starting med school, Loveview Breezer, starting med school in Indianapolis, starts here right now this week.
Fantastic.
She loves getting all this medical journal stuff. This is fascinating. If you're alive by the age of 2030, they're predicting that the odds of you are more in favor of reaching the age of 100 right now.
Okay.
That's staggering.
Wow. Okay.
That's staggering because we're living longer. So if we're living longer, think of what happens with inflation. Folks, if you've got an inflation plan, if you have a plan, are you planning with the right inflation number? It is 25% more expensive to live today than it was 5 years ago at 2020. 25%. More. That means $100 spent in 2020, you would have to spend $125 today. Think about it. When you go to the grocery store, when you go here, when you buy this, it's more expensive. What is that? That's inflation.
Yes.
Cynthia, so many people we see come in and their financial plan, if you even want to call it that, is a 2% inflation rate.
Wow.
The 50-year average, according to JP Morgan, 50-year average, pretty good number, is 3.8%.
Wow.
Meaning it's going to be significantly more expensive to keep the same standard of living. And the longer we're living, the more that risk happens.
Of course.
The longer we're living, the chances of us needing some type of long-term care or some kind of health care event. The longer we're living, the more chances of us having a downturn in the market. I think there's going to be more good years than bad years in the market.
Sure, absolutely.
I believe in that. The challenge is when you are retired and you're taking money out, what happens when those bad years hit if you're having to go to your retirement money, if it's all being managed the same way, and sell at a loss?
Exactly.
Just go back to 2022 and imagine, wow, if I was having to take money out of my accounts when stocks and bonds were both getting crushed.
Yeah.
When I'm selling that at a loss, it's gone forever. And if I have to live another 30 years, it's an impact significantly down the road.
Well, Joe, what scares me is that when I heard you say the one lady that came in, her advisor said, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. But what about all of those people that have all of their eggs in one basket? They're heavily invested, but they're not really paying attention to how much risk they're even taking.
Yeah, the hidden risk.
I mean, think about that. That's scary.
It is scary. And as we sit here today, we're at all-time market highs. And I love that. I think we'll make new highs. But how concentrated are we in certain names? We'll see all the time folks come in and go, well, I'm really diversified. I've got these 10 mutual funds. We love to do what we call I call it the Department of Redundancy Department report. It's a great way to do an x-ray of what you hold. And what we're seeing, Cynthia, is some of these funds, even though they might have 10 of them in their portfolio, they're owning the same stocks. It's the big names we all know and see 10, 15 times all over. So they're paying a fee, concentrated in the same names, and they have hidden risk. That is an absolute nightmare, and it's a way we can measure where are you right now in this market, in this economy. How are you positioned to make sure that money lasts you 2 or 3? Are you sitting on hidden risk? We talk about that in the book.
Yes, and it's so important. And something else that came to mind as we're talking about retirement, let's say 25 years ago. Joe, we haven't talked about this, the disappearance of the pensions. First of all, where are they even going?
Yeah.
Because when my dad retired, he had a pension, he had Social Security, and that was enough.
It was enough.
It was enough.
It was enough.
But it wouldn't be today. My
Well,
gosh.
I think that's why we're seeing this fear of, will I have enough money? I mean, I know my
Yes.
uncle retired from, you've heard me talk about it, GE aircraft engines right there in Evendale, north of Cincinnati. He lived to 95. He was getting a pension check, mailbox money showed up from GE every single month.
Yep.
That plus Social Security, and he did some additional saving, allowed them to have a fabulous retirement. But if you're like most Americans, pensions have gone away. It is now upon you, the modern retiree, to save that money, to invest that money, and use that money for income. And that's where I think so many people are afraid. Why? Well, just go back and look at what we've seen in market volatility.
100%.
2000, 2001, 2002, 2008, 2009. The modern retiree right now is remembering those nightmares and how things just wrecked their portfolios and going, oh my goodness, if I'm taking money out. So there's a fear of the unknown.
Sure.
This is the issue. You would never start a job, a dream job, and say, oh, I'm so excited about it. And when you ask about how much you're going to get paid, someone tell you, you're good.
You're fine. You'll be fine.
No one would do it. Yet we see people day in and day out with the retirement accounts. There's no distribution plan. Where are you going to go to get those dollars first? Do you start with the Roth? Do you start with the traditional? Do you start with the after tax? Where do you go? Do you know? And if you don't, that is a problem. It's why we are an advice-driven firm and help people with a true plan to be and stay retirement ready.
Yes, because if you want to go back to work, it should be something that you choose to do. You can go part-time if you want to, but it never should be that you have to.
Isn't that the truth? Because folks, you get one shot at this. And the most important thing you can understand is where you're going to get your income. In the good years, that's easy. But where are you going to get it in the bad years? Where are you going to get income, God forbid, if you need some type of long-term care event or some kind of health care scare? That's a concern for me.
Absolutely.
Type 1 juvenile diabetic, I don't want to be a burden on my kids and my wife. So how am I going to take care of myself? If I've got some health issues, I better be planning for that. You should be planning for that. Why? Because longevity risk is real and we're falling asleep at the wheel right now.
Exactly. And again, it's a blessing and a curse when we're living longer today, because when you think about it, obviously, like you mentioned earlier, Joe, we have everything technology-wise, medically at our fingertips to allow us to live longer, but we want to make sure that we don't outlive our money. That is, like you said, still the number one fear. It has been for years.
It is. It really started shifting. I would say back around 2000, the number one fear, statistically, you go back and look, the number one fear then was really long-term care. What happens if?
Yes, yes.
But it has shifted. But you go back the last 20, 25 years and look at the volatility that we've had in the markets. I think it's for a reason, because you remember what it was like in 08 and 09.
Yeah.
You remember what it was like in 2000, 2001, and 2002. We don't remember what it was like in 73 and 74, but those 2 years were just as bad, a negative 40% decline in the S&P 500.
Yeah.
Just go back to 2022 and everyone's thinking, oh my goodness, is this it? Are we falling back in this 08 crisis? That uncertainty, that fear is morphed now into, what if I do live longer?
Yeah.
And we are also looking at this sandwich generation where kids are staying home because they can't afford the housing. And mom and dad are having to live with somebody.
Yes.
So now you're getting the sandwich situation. And I think the fear is just continuing. Oh my goodness, do we have enough? You can have enough. Maybe you do right now, but how do you know? You need a written plan. You need to know how much money you can take out every single month, adjusted for inflation and taxes, so you never have to worry again of, will I run out of money?
Well, Joe, don't I have that if I go to my mailbox and pull out my statement? Isn't that a plan?
It's a history report, and it has nothing to do, because nowhere on that statement does it show you where you should start taking money, how much you should take out. I've yet to see one. I've been in this business a long time. It is a history report, and by the time you get it in the mail or by the time you open up your email, it's obsolete. It's a great place to understand where you have your investments, but where does it work with an inflation plan? Where does it work with a tax plan? How much tax is on that? Is even all your money?
Exactly.
What happens with longevity risk? What happens? Where do you give that money to the next generation when you pass? All of this must come together.
Yes.
To create a complete plan, and that's what we're offering today for you, absolutely free.
And
Tell
don't
'em about
forget,
it.
copy of the book, The
Well, you need
5
the book.
Agreements. To our viewers at home, you need to have a plan for your retirement, a written financial plan that allows you to know where to draw funds from. Are you going to run out of money during retirement? We don't want you to. You need to have the plan. Call in today, 844-657-1072. And remember, a copy of The 5 Agreements by Joe is so important. It's paramount. All the information in there about how to retire comfortably, how to retire with confidence. We don't want you to have to go back to work unless you want to. Grab your smartphone, click on the QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That takes you right to the landing page, of course, of Omega Wealth Private Capital. You can claim your spot accordingly with Joe and get a copy of the book. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. I have so much more on Wise Money when we return.
Walgreens just did something that no one expected them to do. They stopped paying a dividend after 92 years of paying dividends. If you're retired and you depend on dividends for income, that might be a problem. Stock dividends can be reduced, even eliminated, depending on what the company wants to do. And market downturns, they can cut portfolio withdrawals like that. But there are income strategies that are built to last a lifetime, income that you can count on no matter what happens in the markets. You need someone who can specialize in helping retirees create reliable income streams that will not disappear. Scan the QR code for a complimentary income analysis, and let's help build an income strategy that's designed to last. Brad Johansson with Joe Wilson, the third Omega Wealth Private Capital. Joe, I want to get into what people may be missing in their retirement plans. We go through it with every client. 5 agreements to be and stay retirement ready.
And if you're missing one, there's a major problem. It's going to cost you money. Number one, you got to have a dedicated income engine. Where are you going to get your income in retirement, regardless if we're having a good market or a bad market? That leads us to number 2,
which is
investments.
Yeah.
Investments. Do you have hidden risk? Is there hidden risk sitting inside your portfolio? We've got a great way where we can go back and look over the last 20 years and see what the maximum drawdown is currently in accounts right now.
Scariest part of it is taxes.
Taxes are a huge problem because it's not what you have, it's what you get to keep. Taxes are on sale. What are you doing right now? And if you're not talking about this with your current advisor, you need to click this QR code and get this fixed.
A lot of current advisors are in accumulation. That's your phase. But when you're going into retirement, it's distribution. So asset preservation?
Got to have it, because what if you retire in the wrong years? 1999, you retire, you had 2000, 2001, 2002, minus 40+% decline. What about the great financial crisis? You can't control what happens the day you retired. You can control how your investments are allocated.
We all want our legacy to be something and carry on beyond us. Legacy plan is
Got to have legacy planning, because if you're passing this on to the next generation in this market, in this environment where legislative risk and what they're doing on the Hill can change at a whim, you need a clear plan on income, investments, asset preservation, taxes, and legacy planning. If you're missing one, it could be costing you money in your retirement. Right now is the time to act.
You need a retirement readiness review. Click the QR code. If you want to go to your tax bill, wisetaxbill.com. See a professional. Make your 5 agreements to make your retirement work.
Welcome back to Wise Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Joe Wilson of Omega Wealth Private Capital, and we're talking all about important things regarding your retirement plan, of course, longevity risk, market volatility, but what about in this segment, Joe, inflation?
Well,
we tapped on it, but we should talk about it more in depth.
Yeah, this is great. I think every one of these, look at that thing, some money. Every one of these should come with a warning label. Right off the top, the purchase power of this note will lose value. Think about that. Because this does not spin the same way today as it did 10 years ago.
That's true.
So how does that affect you when worried about running out of money and longevity? I'm going to give you some numbers. I think this is important. I think the number one area that folks are missing right now is, I'm going to get my Social Security, and then Joe, just send me another $5,000 a month. And many plans, they'll look like, well, I can handle that. But when you understand with real inflation, and then you just put a 20% tax on it, just some general numbers, that's $60,000 a year. $5,000 a month is $60,000 a year coming out of your retirement accounts. But when you go forward 20 years and you add inflation, And after taxes, what you have to take out, you got to pay taxes on that if you have it in a retirement account.
Right.
It is more, it'll feel 20 years with inflation and after taxes of taking out $162,000 a year.
Wow.
And I will tell you right now, Cynthia, we see folks day in and day out. No one is talking about this in our industry. No one's telling folks you have to use a real inflation number. And I fear so many folks are coming in right now off this show going, boy, it makes sense. The markets have been at all-time highs, but I just feel like it's harder to live right now. Do we have everything we do have? And what's great, I don't want you to sit here and go, dear Lord, I can never retire, or did we make a mistake? But sometimes it's just a subtle little shift. We've got to focus this. Let's do this. And before you know it, now there's a plan in place to make sure you don't have those biggest fears. And so many of it is revolved around the erosion of the dollar.
Yes, and so much of this, for peace of mind, Joe, comes down to the plan. And we just talked about that. It's important that people understand that there is a solution to this. It's called proper planning.
Absolutely. Because so many times you'll see folks that are scared to live. There are 3 phases of retirement. There's the go-go years. You've worked all your life. You want to go to Greece. You want to go to England. You love to travel. You and Tony are traveling like crazy.
Yes, we are. We are.
Then you have your slow go. You've done that. You're slowing down. And then you hit the no-go. The problem is we're spending more time in the no-go. And a lot of people, well, I'm not going to spend any money. I hope. But if there's a medical situation, a lot of times we're seeing folks coming in and they're spending more than they were in the go-go years.
Wow.
There must be a plan through every phase of retirement, and it must be wrapped around income.
Most definitely, because we've talked about this before. Income is the outcome, Joe, for retirement, happiness, success, peace of mind. You need it all.
And it's through planning. Listen, folks, you get one shot at retirement. I want to thank you for watching. I'm sure there's some things we've talked about here. You might have more questions now than even seeing this going, what does this mean? Well, here's how you handle that. We've got the number on the screen, 844-657-1072. Our team's standing by to set up a time. Maybe it's via Zoom, maybe it's in person, where you can meet with one of our amazing fiduciary advisors and help start with your retirement readiness plan. Maybe you just retired and you're going, we have a 2% inflation number. That should be a warning sign. Start to get an idea of how much tax debt you're currently sitting on. How do you do that? Call the number, take out your phone, scan that QR code, set up a time to meet with one of our amazing advisors. If you want this, I wrote this. It's not War and Peace. I wrote it so my 85-year-old dad can read it. There's a lot of stories and wisdom that I've experienced over the last 20 years revolving around all 5 agreements that must be in place for you to have the retirement of your dreams. You've worked too hard to let this just happen by chance. Today's the day to get a plan so you can be and stay retirement ready. I want to thank you for watching today. Cynthia, thank you for being here. I can't wait to see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. You've been watching Wise Money.
From tax time bombs to Social Security insecurities, strategic investments that help clean up your junk drawer and keep your income engine running smoothly at Omega Wealth Private Capital. We're fiduciary, independent, holistic wealth advisors, and we're here to turn your have-tos into get-tos. So, would you like your retirement dreams to move from good to great? Give us a call. It's what we do because we really want to. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope to see you in the office. Until then, I'm Brad Johansson. We'll see you next time on Wise Money.